What's up, folks? This is Gray here, and today we're going to look at what is the best battery for emergency situations. What is the best battery to stockpile? What is the best battery to invest your money into? And this is kind of like a wide open question for you, my viewers, but I'm going to tell you what kind of batteries I prefer to store and what I think is probably one of the best batteries to add to basically your arsenal of power. And what I mean by that is a lot of people stockpile your alkaline batteries, your basic batteries that you go to any big box store, wherever you go. These are the batteries you see, the Energizers, the Duracells, the Panasonics, and the list goes on from all your generic batteries to wherever you happen to be. Alkaline batteries work great. A lot of them say they have a 10-year shelf life. I don't know if you guys ever put that to the test, like myself. Usually after I notice about 4 or 5 years, they start to degrade quickly. And the biggest issue that I have with alkaline batteries for long-term storage is if one happens to burst. And what I mean by burst is that all that, that nasty corrosion and acid that happens to come out of the bottom of it, and then it spreads to the rest of your batteries, and then you have, a whole box of batteries that you got to throw away. So today, this video is going to be more on the EBL rechargeable batteries. And if you guys remember, I did a video on EBL put out a solar charger unit that I did a review on quite some time ago. And they said, "Hey, Gray, we had a question for you. Are you interested in rechargeable batteries?" I said, "Of course. That's part of our repertoire in emergency preparedness." So they sent me this whole huge battery organizer, storage solution, and whatnot. I like organization. I like what it comes into. But for you folks out there, I'm going to kind of go over what I think about their batteries. I've had these for about 3 months now, kind of put them through the ringer a little bit and tested them, and just general stuff like that, like communications, my radios, flashlights, and those things that kind of need those AA batteries. Now, I like what they did with this packaging, and we'll get a little closer up of this, of what's included in something like this. And they also sent me their little rechargeable, what's this LCD Smart Quick Universal Charger. This guy right here. And, I have a bunch of these, but what I didn't have, and let me go ahead and take this out, and we'll get a closer look at this as well, is inside here. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. I look in here, but it has charging ports for your 9-volt batteries, which I thought was nice because none of my chargers have a 9-volt charging capacity from a rechargeable 9 volts, other than this little rinky-dink thing that I have. So, that being said, let's kind of look at rechargeable batteries, and these are nickel metal hydride batteries. There's a lot of different battery chemistries out there. You have your lithium batteries, which are very, very expensive if you plan on stockpiling those. They're great, and they do have a long shelf life as well, but you're going to pay a pretty penny. Now, what was missing from the lithium batteries in the AA format or AAA format and so on and so forth was a way to have rechargeable versions of them, which they have now come out with. But the problem with that is they don't, it's kind of weird if you ever look at them. They usually have the charging port in the top part of it. You get the AA, and it has a little charging port on there. And for some reason, they don't hold as much as power or last as long for me in some of my devices. And I kind of figured out there's a little bit of, like these batteries here from EBL are 2800 milliamps. So, and what I thought I had purchased, I wish I had one to show you right here, is one that said, I thought it said 3300 milliamps when it was actually 3300 milliwatts or something like that, which equated to about 2200 milliamps. So I was trying to figure out, like, why didn't it last as long? Anyways, enough of me rambling on about batteries. So I want to give you a quick look at what you get if you happen to get something like this EBL battery organizer. And it comes with all the batteries, but there's some cool things in here that I liked and some things that I didn't. So let's take a look at it. All right, folks, so let's kind of take a look at these, what you get in this little case here. And like I said, it's a pretty handy dandy little case. I've been opening and closing these clips for a while to see if they would break off. So far, so good. They've been doing pretty good. I know that might not mean some other folks, but it's nice to have things that don't break very often. And like I said, if you read the packaging here, it says EBL battery organizer storage case. Includes 47 rechargeable batteries and one small flashlight. Exactly what I'm just not a fan of that flashlight, but I'll show it to you regardless. And if we get a little close up there, you get 20 AA's, 16 AAA's. Now, see where it says the CD batteries? You don't really get those, and I'll explain here in a second. And then you get a couple of 9-volt batteries. That you do, you get 2 of those. So this can be a little misleading. I don't like that, especially if you're looking at what you're trying to get, but they do have something in here that makes up for it. Anyways, high capacity rechargeable batteries. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up so that you guys can see what you get into it. And that's going to be the breakdown here of what you get in there. These are going to be all your AAAs right here. You got your 2 9-volts, and then right here you're going to have your AAAs. Now, when you look at the D size batteries and the C's, they're not really batteries. They are, let me see if I can get that to focus in on there. There we go. They're kind of like an adapter. So basically, if you can see that, it's a D size spacer, and it works great. I tried them out in one of my old mag lights that I had, and they work fine. Now, basically, the simplicity of it, as you can see here, this battery is going to put in here. I'm going to try to be quiet real quick so you can hear the click. So that click pops up, that comes up, and that's it. Now, I try to shake it out to see if it will fall out, and it will if you shake it hard enough. But it does lock in there when you first put it in there and you get that click sound. And all along, it doesn't fall out just like that. So you really have to shake it out. But, you know, I like to be honest when I'm doing things like this, just because maybe some people are really rough with stuff, you know. It's not like horrible, but if you can get it to come out of there, it's going to make me a liar there. But as you can see, it will come out. That's if you're going crazy with it. But anyways, if you look at there, I'm going to try to get real close to that. Right there, it's going to pop out. And to push it out, you're just going to push that button right there, which releases the batteries. So you get 4 of those. All right, so now with the C version of this is the C spacer is a little bit different. So the C spacer doesn't really have a locking mechanism in it. So basically, and I don't have anything that uses a C battery, so it's not really a big deal to me. But this goes in there like that, and it just kind of sits in there. If you notice that this right here is going to hold those all around, it kind of holds the battery in place, and then you would put it whatever takes that C battery. So it kind of flops around in there. I mean, it doesn't fall out, you know, per se. You know, it's in there, but at least you get an idea how it's set in there if you use something that has C batteries. Like I said, not as cool as the D battery ones, but in a jam or in a pinch, like I said, it would work. Now, so let's take a closer look. Specifically, here's your 2 9-volts that it comes with as well. Let you guys see those right there. And like I said, they're rechargeable. To me, these would work great in a smoke detector and so on and so forth. Or maybe you have other rechargeables, you know what I mean, 9-volt batteries. I'm curious to what you guys knew 9-volt batteries for outside of, let's say, smoke detectors and stuff like that. Let me go ahead and put those back in there. Like I said, I like how it's nice and organized. Real quick, I'm going to touch on the AAA real quick because a lot of people have remotes and all kinds of stuff like that. It is 1100 milliamps, and surprisingly, they last quite some time. These little batteries are troopers. I give them that. I do like the fact of how long they last for what I'm using them for, especially small electronics. But like I said, I really want to focus in on the AA battery. It is a 2800 milliamp battery, AA. As you can see right here, it is a 1.2 volt. Your alkalines are usually 1.5. So take that, you know, as what it is, you know what I mean? If you're looking at something, again, that needs a 1.5, it's not really a huge difference, believe it or not, folks. Some people may not even pay attention to this, but 1.2 versus the average 1.5. But like I said, some other electronics are a little bit more sensitive to that would have an issue. And again, like I said, it tells you the battery chemistry and whatnot on here. I know it's hard to see on there. I have like a super hyper focused lens here to pick this up on, but it is a 2800 milliamp rechargeable battery. Like I said, this is not the most, you know, rocket scientist kind of stuff in here, or the most exciting, but when it comes to emergency preparedness, you need to have stuff like this. Batteries come in handy for so many different purposes, to turn on lights, to, you know, for your communications, depending on what kind of communications you have. Let's say maybe you have a walkie-talkie that takes batteries or whatnot, and the list goes on. Or maybe even something like one of these flashlights here that might actually take, you know, a battery. This doesn't take AA's, but it's just the first thing I can grab. Anyways, folks, all in all, let's take a look real quick at their charging thing, and they're sold separately. So let's say if you just want to get this case, oh, that's what I forgot to do. Show you this little flashlight. Like I said, it's, to me, the construction is really poor, and you know, it's just kind of like when they throw something in there. There's a battery, so that you can see how it fits in there if you're going to use it. But I guess any light's better than no light at some point. This is all you had. and so on and so forth. And it's an easy button operation. But yeah, like I said, it's kind of like a really cheap aluminum. I'm going to say it's some type of metal in there. Not very bright. It's on average. I don't even know what the lumens actually is, but if some of you folks that are, like, hey, at least it's an extra flashlight, you give it to the kids or whatnot to give them some sort of sense of security. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the charging station where you would charge batteries like this in there. All right, so here we are with the battery charger, and like I said, you have a nice well-lit screen here. You got your button to kind of check, different things on there and set in different settings. I'm not going to go too deep into that just because, a battery charger is a battery charger. But like I said, right here and here, you have spots for two 9-volts, which I like because I don't have something like that. And then, of course, here you have your charging for your batteries here. Now, one thing I noticed about this on the inside of this, I don't know if I can show you that. If you can see that in there, it looks like it has like a spot for two batteries on top of each other. But when I tried that, the other battery falls out. So I can stack one battery in here, not two. I'll show you what I mean here in a second once we get some batteries in here. All right, so we got some batteries in here now. As you can see here on this button right here, if you notice on the side here, it's going to say charging. And those are my AA's that are charging in the bay. Now, if I wanted to discharge the batteries, this is what I would use the button for here. As you can see there, it'll say discharging. So if I wanted to discharge the batteries, you can do that as well. And then, again, for the charging function right there. So let's go ahead and open this thing up here. As you can see, I have my 9 volts charging, and then I have my AA's charging. Now, I could be wrong with the whole way of charging this, because I thought, like I said, let me put this down right here. I thought you could stack batteries, maybe to charge more batteries at one time, but it doesn't work. My assumption is that they're made for the bigger batteries if you had a full-size battery in there. For instance, if I wanted to take this thing out here, pull out the 9-volt, pull some batteries out, and then let's say if I had it, let's say a D-size battery in there, and I wanted to put that in there, that way it would take up the space that it needed to be. And as you can see, if I use the adapters in here, this can take up to two D-size batteries on that one side there. As you can see, they're charging right there. So if you, let's say you happen to have some D-size rechargeable batteries or whatnot, you could use them there. But other than that, kind of gives you the basics of the batteries and the kit and all that stuff like that. I don't know. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts. And of course, this red light, this doesn't count for the 9-volt here. This is a red light that goes green once this 9-volt is fully charged. So this will go from, you can close this, for whatever reasons, it's vented so that you have some air going through there and whatnot. But that will change to green once that 9-volt is charging. But other than that, like I said, it's very simple little battery charger. If you guys want to look at some of the information on there, it kind of gives you the AA's, AAA's, 9-volt, CDs, NiMH, which is nickel metal hydride, and your Nike CDs, which is nickel cadmium, I think is what it stands for as well. For you folks that may have a different type of rechargeable battery. All right, let's head back to me. All right, so you can kind of see the benefit to having something like that. Battery organization is huge. Knowing how many batteries you have in there and having a variety of batteries. Specifically, I like to focus in on the AA's, some AAA's, and like I said, there's some pros and cons to the nickel metal hydride batteries. If I'm saying that properly, you know what I mean? I stumble over words all the time. But anyways, like again, they're at 1.2. Most AA's are like that, are about 1.5. So depending if you have some really funky electronics that really have to have that kind of power to them, where they're very specific, they're very sensitive, as they like to call it, you might want to focus in on maybe a lithium or an alkaline battery. But for more generalized purposes, I think these EBLs will do well. From my experience, like I said, with them, they lasted quite some time. Now, here's some pros and cons. The pros, I like that you get a certain amount of batteries for a decent amount of price versus what I used to pay for my lithium batteries. And they sat on the shelf most of the time because I didn't want to use them very often. They were just there for emergencies. But I like that they have the little adapters to make it into a C battery or a D battery. And of course, I understand there's a difference between a AA and a D battery in the amount of power that it can hold and so on and so forth. But in a pinch, that would come in handy. Now, what I didn't like, I didn't like the little flashlight. I thought, sure, it's great, something that I'll hand off to a friend of mine, or I don't know, maybe my daughter or something like that, just to have a little bit of light. I wasn't really impressed with the flashlight itself. Other than that, I can't really say too much about it, other than I guess the worst thing that I didn't like about it, because I like to do a lot of research before I do a review myself on a product. So I read some literature, watched some videos, and did stuff like that. And a lot of people who have pushed these EBL batteries for quite some time stated that after a year, once you give them fully charged, after about a year, they will lose about 40%, 47% of their charge. So I thought to myself, okay, if that's so, in a year's time, I'm losing half the capacity. So at least every 6 months, I'm going to have to give all my batteries a charge or keep them in a cycle or whatnot. So be aware if you decide to get something like this. There's always pros and cons with anything. But I'm looking at the price point and the usability of these batteries and all. And for emergency purposes, I think they're great. But something to be aware of, you know what I mean? And after you use them from, let's say if you were to, charge them all the way up and discharge the batteries all the way down, what I noticed is it has an efficiency ratio after about a year. Probably you're looking at about down to 80, 85%, somewhere around 80, 85% in efficiency if you were to do, charging them and discharging them for over a year consistently. But a lot of folks do that. A lot of folks will charge their batteries up, they put them up in an emergency that happens to present itself like a hurricane or whatnot, and then they'll use those batteries. Some of you folks like myself may be a content creator and use batteries in cameras and all kinds of stuff like that. But I usually use a little bit more advanced batteries in that kind of equipment because they're very high drain per se. But anyways, folks, let me know what you think down in the comments. I always like to hear back from you, the viewers, and what type of batteries do you store? Do you do alkalines? Do you do the nickel metal hydride batteries? Do you do, they used to call them NiMH and so on and so forth, those type of batteries. Lithium batteries, rechargeable lithium batteries. Do you use 9 volts still? The reason I keep 9 volts is because of the smoke detector, so I always have to keep 9 volts on hand. D batteries and C batteries I don't really use so often, but it's nice to have that adapter in case, like I said, in a pinch I could throw it in the adapter that comes with the kit and use that for that purpose. Any of you guys remember the whole Maglite flashlights? Those things had 4 D-cell batteries in there, and you could probably, hurt someone with that thing. Anyways, folks, I truly appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. Again, looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say down in the comment section. Other than that, folks, remember, you're not alone. This is GreyMan. I'm out. I'll see you guys in a rebound, and God bless.